Your number one station.
91.7.
Prestige FM.
A body that is formed to bring nations of West Africa together in terms of economic, political, and even security-wise, security cooperations, have just declared that as from yesterday henceforth, the countries of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger cease to be members of ECOWAS. However, ECOWAS was quick to submit that despite their expulsion from the Union, all other regards and respect shall be accorded to them as being neighbors of the ECOWAS countries. And of course, since that yesterday, that has generated a lot of discussion among diplomats and especially public commentators who felt that this declaration of the expulsion of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali is coming at the right time, looking at the fact that these three countries have decided to pull themselves out of ECOWAS. And in the process of doing this, they've also decided to form their Association of Sahelian States. And this is to also solidify their union and then to ensure that at every point in time they have some kind of cooperations ranging from economic and security cooperations. At every point in time again, these three nations have also been all over trying as much as possible to do away with so many of the cultures, so many of the symbols of colonialism that they have inherited from their colonial masters, the French. And this announcement of the withdrawal of Niger Republic and Mali, as well as Benin Republic, is also coming in the wake of increased tension between Nigeria and Niger Republic. If you recall, the president or the head of state of Niger Republic, General Abdurrahman Chani, has come out to say that Nigeria, and indeed the Nigerian president, is colluding with France to bring instability in Niger. That didn't go down well with a lot of Nigerians, and that gradually have also degenerated into some kind of misunderstanding between citizens of both countries. As it is now, Niger Republic is doing everything humanly possible to prevent Nigerians from going in there to do transactions. And of course, part of the conditions given as a result of this withdrawal of Niger Republic, as well as Mali and Burkina Faso, is that this henceforth ECOWAS will continue to recognize the national passport and identity cards bearing ECOWAS or bearing ECOWAS logo on citizens of Burkina Faso, the Republic of Mali, and the Republic of Niger. And secondly, they will also continue to treat goods and services coming from these three countries in accordance with the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme and investment policy. And number three, they will also allow citizens of the three affected countries to continue to enjoy the right of visa-free movement, residence and establishment in accordance with the ECOWAS protocols until further notice. And then number four, ECOWAS will provide full support and cooperation to ECOWAS officials from the three countries in the course of their assignment for the community. These are some of the conditions that have been given, and ECOWAS is trying as much as possible to be very diplomatic in this situation. And to discuss this matter this morning, I have with me a public commentator and also somebody who is passionate, especially about diplomatic issues. And together we shall be looking at all of these issues. Alhaji Abubakar Mohammed, Bidda, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Dr. Angela.
Thank you so much. And how was the night?
Well spent. Alhamdulillah.
Yes, we just woke up to receive this news of ECOWAS withdrawing the membership of these three countries, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. And what is the implication of this in terms of first safety, and then we begin to look at other aspects, economic as well as political.
Good morning, Dr. Entala. Once again, your intro aptly captured the answer again to your question. However, I will not hesitate in making comments on that line. Honestly, ECOWAS itself, it's economic community of West African states, which the West African heads of state and government came together in Lagos in 1975, precisely 28th of May, to agree and give birth to what today is referred to as the Lagos Treaty, establishing the economic community of West African states. This became a great success because it's a globally recognized leading economic development hub.
A regional bloc.
Yes, that's a regional, a leading one in the world, standing equally with regional bodies like the European Union and other blocs around the world. Like you rightly observed, it is pathetic, sad, and a drawback. And it could even lead to states where the organization will put in a state of perplex, confusion kind of. Because if you look at it, institutional arms of ECOWAS, for instance, the health organization, is domiciled in Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou.
Exactly.
So you can see it's going to bring a social dislocation, and like you say, like I alluded to earlier, the economic community of West African states evolved to even have components such as security outfits. We cannot forget quickly the ECOMOG,
exactly,
pioneered by the late General Dogonyaru when the Liberian crisis came in, up onto Samuel Victor Malu also, of blessed memory. These were outstanding bodies that today we crave and wish we have those kind of situations. So like you said, it will have impactful socio-economic impacts on trends, especially security. The Lakurawas and other, the ISWAP and other, will I say, miscreants around the region may suffer because hitherto the authority of ECOWAS could accost leaders of these countries that have existed us, but now it has to be an entirely different thing. Then we cannot forget quickly when the Cold War came to an end, the world became unipolar, and prior to that time, the concept of perestroika and glasnost, those who are conversant with development in international politics, we know, and essentially these were advocacies for economic liberalization and political democratization. So basically, it is the change of government since last year in these countries that precipitated the recent development. So it's a great setback for the founding fathers. I don't know what the likes of General Gowan will feel because it was under his leadership ECOWAS were given birth to in Lagos.
Exactly. Okay, you have mentioned the pivotal role played by ECOWAS in the 1980s and of course 1990s, and even in the years of 2000s. ECOMOG was at the forefront of restoring peace in countries like Liberia and Sierra Leone. They were also in Gambia to pacify the then leader, Colonel Yahya Jammeh, to relinquish power and cede it to Adama Barrow, who defeated him in an elections. So one can say that over the years, ECOWAS has been able to champion democratic culture in the sub-region. Now, could this be a serious challenge to democracy?
You see, honestly, but for the state of affairs on the global stage, rudimentary education or knowledge in African politics tells you that there is something that is contagious about power change. If you go through the history of coups in Africa, and particularly West Africa, it's like this country strikes, another one strikes. And it has shown in these Sahelian countries. But for the fortification and the maturity of the Nigerian states, who would have also been there. And then other countries, Nigeria that they are looking up to, has transmuted again back to military regime, everything will be going that way. So it's a great setback. Even though democracy is not a destination, it's something that evolves, and peculiar nature of every society describes or characterizes its kind of democracy. Civil rule, I would rather take, will have a setback, because the essence of military governance is militarism. And in militarism, you do things with fiat, a kind of military fiat, expressly obeying before complain. Decrease, of course, they are decrees. Very
draconian.
Yes. We cannot forget quickly decrease number 2 and 4 in Nigeria. Yes, you know. So those things. I mean, I don't think West Africans or Africans or anywhere in the world deserves that now. We have advanced.
So, in your opinion,
yes,
these leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali, as well as Niger,
yes,
could pose as a setback to democratic culture that has spread all over West Africa at some point in time.
Yes.
I think at some point in time there was only one military leader in the whole of West Africa, but
yes,
gradually that number has increased now.
Yes.
And other countries like Nigeria appear
yes,
not to be very comfortable to have next door neighbors being ruled by military personnel. And
yes,
you have just mentioned the issue of Lakurawas.
Yes.
And you know, the Nigerian president, Abdurrahman Shani,
yes,
with his Nigerian counterpart, where he accused Nigeria of plotting to destabilize Niger.
Yes.
Don't you think that Niger could serve probably as a conduit to those who are hell-bent in destabilizing Nigeria?
You see, honestly, I want to believe those authorities in the diplomatic circle will not rest on their horses, as their job is redefined and it's cut out for them. I don't think there's any time for rest for them now, especially with this development. For this socio-economic reasons, especially security aspect, you can see it expressly from the president of the Commission of ECOWAS to the Council of Ministers. Especially the Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs appeared disturbed. And personally, as a citizen of Nigeria, and particularly the United States, I have cause to be worried. Because we also are bordered by Benin Republic.
Exactly.
And we are just next, we are contiguously positioned as neighbors of Kebbi, where again, that is another aspect of linking Niger and Benin Republic as well. So you can see the situation calls for alarm, and I want to believe even the 3 Sahelian leaders will also not want to toy with this. Because take Burkina Faso for instance, jobs will be lost. Jobs would certainly be lost, like their citizens, because the headquarters, if this persists, the headquarters will have to be moved.
Now, even with their withdrawal, definitely the
politics and international politics being what it is, it will continue because it's give and take, sustained negotiation to ensure they are brought back to the fold. Because even bodies like the EU are not happy to have that. And if you look at it, like I made mention earlier, alluded to, nations or regions or global organizations seem to be copying one another. But if you look at the history of the build-up of these continental and sub-regional bodies, these things often happen. So in my submission, it is the continuation of the evolution of ECOWAS. Because I want to believe these 3 Sahelian leaders have no option but reverting back or transiting to being democratic governments.
But don't you think the Sahelian nations being backed by one of the superpowers of the world, the Russians, and don't you think it could be akin to probably a proxy war that Russia is fighting the French, looking at the contributions of French to the Ukrainian soldiers in the war against Russia?
Yes, Africa and the rest of the world is not immune to being affected by these world powers when they are in conflict. Certainly, this will come, but don't forget the unipolar head of the world, America, has a new leadership, and the leadership seems to be singing differently.
He's spitting fire already.
You know, he's spitting fire within some context, but in terms of funding war, he's being cautious of advancing into that, and that could whittle down any other challenge these Sahelian leaders might be, or even a kind of support, because it's all about interests. And distance is always, I mean, the interests are always in a state of flux. And these interests, their pursuit and their articulation, often it's not tied permanently to events. So, and as it is said, the world and human activities are constantly in a state of flux.
Okay.
So we want to hope that better days come ahead, and these people, I mean, immediately find the imperative of returning back to the fold.
Okay, let us not overflow the issue of security. The point has been made.
Yes.
Let's move to the economic aspects.
Yes.
ECOWAS still retain the status of the citizens of these three countries.
Yes.
For free trade zone.
Yes.
And free movement in and among ECOWAS nations.
Yes.
In as much as they carry ECOWAS passports.
Yes.
What does this signify diplomatically?
It's excellent and fantastic. In fact, I give it to ECOWAS for being that magnanimous and extremely reasonable. Because come to look at it, Dr. Entola, the Berlin conference headed by Otto von Bismarck was what partitioned Africa into the hands of these European powers. These boundaries are artificial. Some of these people don't even recognize the differences, and they benefit.
Especially border
economic, of course, border communities in the north, especially the more than 1,500 kilometer stretch of border. I mean, some Nigerians have their roots, prominent Nigerians have their roots in Niger.
Exactly.
And then this fraternity, because it's biologically linked, they even help their economies locally. They used their currencies to support each other in era of need. When the naira was stronger than their units of currency, they have their own ways of exchanging things and making life better for them. And I want to believe that is difficult to be stopped by any force, because they say blood is thicker than water.
Exactly.
So economically, ECOWAS made the fantastic decision of allowing this to be. And I want to believe
along community lines.
Just forget about that.
Of course, they also go to the same market.
Of course. Even people from here have crossed over there, our own enclave here, and to take wives, and the offsprings are there. Some of them have since left, have since passed on, but the linkages are there.
Exactly.
So for that, the economic situation, ECOWAS helped, because if they had taken a stringent measure, it would have brought about tension. Look at grains. When we were kind of hunger and what have you, our people move into as far as these Sahelian countries of Niger, Chad, and other Burkina Faso and what have you, to bring down commodities. Like the conservators, in their bid to conserve nature and wildlife, move to as far as Burkina Faso to bring in vulture.
Yes, exactly.
To regenerate, because here we have
vulture is
it's extinct. It's extinct, man. People have used it for ritual killings and other things and what have you. So you can see we are highly interdependent, because interdependence is one of the core ideals. Cooperation and then collaboration for economic integration is what the hallmark of ECOWAS is. And let's have it even before ECOWAS. The trans-Saharan trade, the movement of traders from as far as Morocco to this area were facilitated then. So it's, the whole thing, it's like I said earlier, it's there is a submission that whatever happens in the past has a way of happening directly or indirectly. So I want to see it in that light, that it's just what happened. If you look at it, even the defunct OAU, we had groups, the Casablanca, the Morovia view, and then they were negotiating, then came together, and today it has gone to, I mean, as metamorphosed into African Union.
Exactly.
So I want to believe ECOWAS too, these countries are not equally comfortable. If you look at the faces of the three Sahelian heads of state, they knew something was amiss. Something is missing.
Now you say something is missing. Just recently, Niger Republic appeared to be at loggerhead with Benin Republic over the seizure of some military warfare. And if you look at the three countries, they are all landlocked countries. They have no access to the sea. So probably one can say that they still need ECOWAS when it comes to importation and even exportation of some of their commodities.
Certainly.
Do you think this accessibility to the sea can be a weapon that could be used by ECOWAS, probably to stifle the three countries into making them to submit to ECOWAS demands?
Like I told you, I want to believe most of them will not be oblivious of the reality that they have to transform into civilian administrations. This is not the first time, and like I said, most have been compelled, and even in our climb, we are almost at the verge of having General Sani Abacha of blessed memory as president. If you recall, the American president was in neighboring Ghana and was making a declaration that so long as the Nigerian dictator was ready to democratize, they would give him support. That happened shortly before he passed away. So this is one of the things they too will require to be globally relevant. Then of course, even our roads in Niger State that are damaged, some of these things are moved. The haulages of some of these things are beyond Nigeria to these landlocked countries that call themselves Sahelian nations. Of course, that could be one of the stringent measures, because they will be made to pay heavily for moving these commodities in and out, because since they are no longer ECOWAS, they could be subjected to conditions.
Despite the free trade zone and
you see, interestingly, Doctor, some of these things contradict themselves. These protocols, I mean, you look at it, look at what is happening. Even at the global stage, look at what is happening. Israel is continuously bombarding Gaza and other surrounding countries. They just suspect to have something to do with them, and the world is watching. It's taking its eyes to somewhere. So there are instances, take for instance for security, we wouldn't say because we have given for economic integration and social interaction, we allowed Laporos to come and just deal with our people. We have to fight that and fight decisively. But I want to believe negotiations will continue. Even as these people were exiting yesterday, in Maiduguri, the Chad Basin was meeting, and it was a combination of governors in Nigeria and governors in neighboring countries. And Chad Basin is very contiguous to economic survival of these three countries. So if they are out of it, I mean, I don't even see this thing lasting, God willing, in the short time, because look at their citizens are holding key positions. No Nigerian has been president of ECOWAS Commission since the beginning.
It was just from Francophone.
You see, just to, and like I said, it's give and take. Yes, we have had opportunity of being the foundation chairperson. I mean, that's head of state, General Yakubu Gawan. All true. Even General Abdul Salam also acted in the demise. Of course, Babangida, of course. The edifice there in Abuja was masterminded by General Babangida. So we have had it. Otto Olusegun Obasanjo had it severally like that. So we have always been heads of authority of heads of states and governments, but we have never headed the commission as it is. So, and when you go through, it's some of these citizens that are there. Ghana has even had it under chambers continuously, but Nigeria has not tested it. But if you go there, it's most of them are these Francophone countries, and particularly the citizens of these three countries.
Okay, thank you so much, Alhaji Abubakar Mohammed Bidda. Listeners, you can join us on this discussion through the number 09038 808883. You can equally visit our Facebook page on Prestigefm91.7mx to send you a text message. We are looking at the withdrawal of Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali from membership of the ECOWAS has been declared yesterday. And what is the implication of this in terms of security, in terms of safety, politically and economically as well? And of course, these nations, okay, Madam Walker, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Russia is fighting Ukraine and the Europeans are behind the Ukrainians.
Yes.
But Russia supply Europe with gas and it has not cut the supply. Do you foresee a situation where further economic ties are possible with these Sahelian nations?
Economic ties with who? With where?
Member nations of ECOWAS having economic ties, economic agreement in the future with any of these Sahelian nations?
Certainly, all issues that presently revolve around interests and politics, whether international or local. Its hallmark is interest. When the need arises, definitely, and I want to believe there are those.
Niger and Nigerians.
Yes.
Do you think that the entertainment industry